What's up YouTube, Capital G here, and guys, holy shit, Konami just made an update that is basically an atom bomb and has some huge implications. I'm talking about so big like Pendulums might never be able to win a YCS under these current rules that Konami is going to put in effect. You guys know about all the rules and changes that they're doing to the game, and actually they have an official start date for the OCG, which is going to be March 25th, 2017, so basically over a month, not to get sidetracked, but if I had to guess when we're going to be seeing these in the TCG, I'd probably say maybe around August 25th to August 30th, probably just somewhere in August, or because that's when Code of the Duelist is going to be coming out in the TCG. So what am I talking about? What does this change to Pendulums? And let me just say, if you guys thought that Pendulums were getting nerfed already enough by basically having to lose the Pendulum scales and having to play those in their spell and trap zones, like, you haven't seen anything. This is going to just be a huge blow to the mechanics. I'm just going to read basically what Konami just kind of updated, and then I'll just quickly explain it. So it says changes to special summoning extra deck monsters right here. And then it says, for Fusion, Synchro, Ixie, and Pendulum monsters as well, when summoning them from the extra deck, they will normally be special summoned to the extra deck monster zone. So what does this mean in layman's terms? In layman's terms, guys, this means that you will no longer ever, well, I guess as of right now with the current card pool, you will never again be able to Pendulum summon 5 monsters from your extra deck. That is just 100% impossible with the current card pool that we have. It doesn't even matter if you have like a Link monster in your extra deck zone, or even if you have multiple Link monsters, because if you have one Link monster, there's no way that you can have cursors pointing to all the zones, so you won't be able to Pendulum summon that way. And then if you have multiple Link monsters, then I mean obviously you're using up 2 of your zones, so the maximum you'd be able to special summon is 4 monsters, and this is a fucking colossal nerf. This is going to make people never want to play Pendulums again. You think about decks like Metaphors, where if you fusion first, you're basically using your extra deck zone, which means that you won't be able to Pendulum summon anything from your extra deck. And that's a deck where you blow up monsters, you send them to the extra deck, and it just changes how Pendulum decks are going to have to play so much. A deck like Magispectors, where, you know, you basically have to tribute to activate most of your spells and traps in that deck, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a deck that likes to, you know, tribute a lot of its monsters for like its traps, like Magispector Tornado and Magispector Cyclone and Tempest and all that. Then it likes to special summon them back, guys, and this is just going to be a fucking big deal. Now I know a lot of you guys are probably going to be super upset about this, and people are gonna probably wonder what I think. I'm pretty sure most of you guys already know where I'm leaning on this. I never was a fan of the Pendulum mechanic. I never actually liked the idea. There were 2 major reasons why I just hate the mechanic. I think that the mechanic is trash, and actually I've got a clip from a Devonator video where I think he thoroughly explains it perfectly, that I'll probably put in this video at some point.
Here's where we actually hit a bit of a snag though with Pendulums. Without getting too far into it, without making this video way too long, Pendulums are kind of your wrench. Instead of making extra deck monsters more generic than Xyz, we got this weird monster slash spell slash extra decks, now a second graveyard just for Pendulums. You can bring them back, and it was a super convoluted mechanic, and all it did was bring problems, and we got decks like Pepe, and it required a ban list to fix it, as opposed to just the mechanic working the way it probably should. Way to go, Konami. You tried something weird, and you broke the game. But I think the major problem with them, and why they broke the game so much with Pepe, was because they didn't follow the logical power creep of the game. They were a giant power leap, instead of just the natural logical progression.
And one of the things he talks about is one of the things that I agree with. I never really felt like the Pendulum mechanic was the natural progression for how Yu-Gi-Oh was going with, as far as like extra deck monsters. It felt like Pendulum was so far off road, or so far off the normal track of where Yu-Gi-Oh was going, that it just completely felt abnormal. It felt like something that Konami just shouldn't have ever actually done, and it felt complicated and convoluted, and the power of the mechanic felt so much stronger than everything else in the game. I'm not really trying to turn this video into a I hate Pendulum summoning and the Pendulum mechanic video, but I just want people to understand why I don't actually like the mechanic. And honestly, I kind of think that this is a good thing. I know people are going to be like, oh, this makes my Pendulum deck unplayable. But the thing about it is, guys, you have to understand, I've never liked the concept of I am playing a Fusion deck, I'm playing a Synchro deck, I'm playing an Xyz deck, and inherently your ceiling is like 5 times higher than mine just because you're playing Pendulum. I'd never liked that. I've never liked the concept of me and you are both grinding, we're going back and forth, and, you know, late in the duel, you top deck a Pendulum card, and you get to summon everything, like everything that I've worked for to kill, you know, throughout the game, you just get to summon it back for free. But I don't get to do that just because I'm playing an Xyz deck, just because I'm playing a Synchro or a Fusion deck. Like that doesn't seem fair to me that you get to summon 5 monsters back for free because your cards don't go to the graveyard, but I don't get to do that because I'm not running that mechanic. Like that inherently made Pendulums unfair and unbalanced, and you kind of saw that from the players. People have complained about Pendulums throughout the entire Arc V era, and as soon as the Pendulum era ended, Konami has like immediately made huge adjustments to the mechanic to where they're like, yeah, we need to nerf this shit. So like that kind of tells you that even Konami themselves are admitting the mechanic was not fair. And that's the reason why I've never said anything good about Pendulums, because it was inherently not a fair mechanic, where Fusion, Xyz, and Synchro, and even Link, they're just much more fair mechanics. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is the death of Pendulums, no longer being able to pendulum 2, 3, 4, 5 monsters from the extra deck? I mean, this isn't nearly as bad as what I said. I said that as soon as Arc V era was over, I would have never printed another Pendulum card as long as the game existed. So, you know, Konami's actually doing less than what I would have done. But let me know what you guys think. This seems to be a very, very big change. I know a lot of people are not going to like this, but as somebody who never thought the Pendulum mechanic was fair or balance, I actually think that this completely checks them, and I think that this brings them down to the other mechanic. Like I think it brings them down to the level of Fusion, Xyz, Link, and Synchro monsters. So you guys let me know. Thank you guys for watching as always, and subscribe if you have not already. And last thing, actually, I want to add, if anybody out there believes that like Fusion, Xyz, or Synchro, even Link is just an inherently broken mechanic, just please explain. I'm all ears. I would love to hear your explanations, because I could spend an entire hour explaining why Pendulum was a absolutely broken mechanic. I mean, the fact that it gives you the ability to special summon 5 monsters, like I don't really need anything else. That was already broken, and it shouldn't have been something that Konami added, when Konami themselves have had a history of basically limiting or banning any cards that let you do that. Look at cards like Soul Charge, Return from the Different Dimension, Dimension Fusion, Rekindling. Like every single one of these cards has either been like limited or banned at some point, but then Konami makes an entire mechanic that lets you do that. Like that makes no sense, Konami. That makes no sense. Like that alone would make me not want to get behind the mechanic, because it's too powerful.